come from a very funny family. So we always would all be comedians at the table. So just doing comedy and being a class clown at school, making people laugh, that's what we always did. So it's just natural to take that leap to be a stand-up. But to be honest, what really made me become a stand-up was I was always cracking jokes at lunchtime when I worked at Disney, and I had a friend who said he did a little stand-up in New York. He said, James, you need to go try stand-up. So I was like, well, how do you do stand-up? He goes, you go to an open mic. So I'm like, what's an open mic? It's like, that's where you go practice your craft. You practice like 5 minutes of doing, jokes and telling to the audience, and that's where you go practice it at. So he made me get 5 minutes of material together, and at the time, 5 minutes when I never done comedy was the longest period of time in the world to write. But once I wrote it, he made me practice every day at my house. He'd come over and make me say it over and over and over again, and drilled it in my head for about a month. Then after that month, we went to open mic for the very first time. Dude, I loved it. Just seeing the MC on stage, making people laugh, I'm like, man, I want to do that. So when it came time for me to do my set, I performed my set that I knew backwards and forwards. I did it well, and I actually ended up killing that night. I know I'm not supposed to use that word killing very lightly, so I'm not. I actually killed, and I was hooked. That was the drug I needed to get again, so I needed to get back on that stage, and I've been hooked for about 20 years, man. It's like no high that you can reproduce. There's nothing that you could drink, there's nothing that you could smoke to make you feel that good as when people listen to what you're saying, find joy in it, and it makes them actually laugh out loud. Dude, man, so I got, even if I didn't get paid, I'd still be doing this, man. It's a drug that I gotta have. I gotta have it, man. I gotta have it. Oh man, I'm an old school fan, man. I remember seeing, for us, when I was growing up, the biggest comedy special in the world was Eddie Murphy, Delirious. That was the most, we saw a dude that was young, saying all these wild and crazy things, and every time he would say them, people would go crazy, wild, and I remember he was larger than life for us. So for me, Eddie Murphy, just delirious, him in that leather outfit coming out, and just the screams of people wanting to see him, taking the shirt off and doing all those crazy act outs and those great impressions. Man, I still think it's the funniest thing today. I actually own it, and I watch it, and I showed my kids that video because I'm a horrible father. But yeah, Eddie Murphy Delirious for me is one of those specials that stands out. But I still like ones today. Like one of my favorite comedians is Joe Coy. His last special in Seattle, underrated, but one of the funniest guys on the planet, man. Yeah. One of my earliest memories of one of the favorite sitcoms I love was Different Strokes. Because when I was a kid, I would imitate Arnold. People would tell me that I'm like him. So when he would say, what you talking about, Willis, and all that stuff, I loved that, man. I love the innocence of the 80s as far as the sitcom. You knew where it was going, you knew where it was ended, but you still went on that ride and you still enjoyed it. So for me, the 80s sitcom of Different Strokes with Gary Coleman was hilarious. Sketches? I mean, I grew up on Saturday Night Live back in the day when Eddie Murphy was on it and whatnot. When he do James Brown, go get in the hot tub. That was always funny to me. I mean, the early Saturday Night Live was the best, in my opinion. So for me, that was great. And early movies, back when they were still in fashion, I loved the raunchy Porky's comedies, which you can't do now because that's part of the Me Too movement. You can't do that. But those are some of my earliest memories of comedy movies. Oh my gosh. Richard Pryor's movies were always funny to me. Those were always great. And of course, Eddie Murphy's movies from back in the day. Really raunchy, but they were funny. And I would sneak and watch them on HBO at night while my mom worked at night. Anything Melissa McCarthy does, I will go see. I think she is so funny no matter what she's in. She is always entertaining to watch. And I like to see comedy movies with people who aren't necessarily comedians, but they got comedic chops. Like anything that T-Lake's on, and I say T-Lake, I mean Justin Timberlake. He's actually a funny dude, man. When you see him on Saturday Night Live, he has comedic chops, and so does The Rock. I used to watch wrestling back in the day, and Rock would always be a comedian in the ring when he would talk to people. Like he'd go up to people and ask them a question like, hey, what do you think about this? And they go to answer, and he's like, it doesn't matter what you think, and cut him off. He was funny. He had comedic timing, man. So anything with The Rock in it, too, I'll go see, because he's funny. It would be two people. Chris D'Elia, because he's one of my favorite comedians. See, because I love comedians that are happy comedians. I don't like the brooding, sad guys. I like the guys that have a good time with the audience, and when off the stage, they're still having a good time. So Chris D'Elia or Joe Coy, two of my favorites, and they're great off stage too. First off, Chris Rock. Chris Rock be hilarious to get roasted by. And if we could bring George Carlin back because he's smart and witty and he would really know how to hurt me, and that's what I would want. Richard Pryor, of course, that'd be good. And man, Bernie Mac. Bring Bernie Mac back because he would tell me like a T.I. is. That's right. And my last guy, somebody from Bill Burr, because he's smart, witty, and tells the truth. So I would like those 5 people. I like to be on a sitcom, man. I've always wanted to do that because my biggest influence growing up, man, was Different Strokes, watching Gary Coleman do it. I think I'd be a good side character, man. I'd like to do something like David Spade. I don't want to have the whole show be around me. I just want to be an interesting side character that people will fall in love with. That's what I want. Well, right now I'm doing a little TV. I got a show called The Lowdown. I'm hoping to grow that into a big show. It's a late night talk show, but it's a little organic. And when I do my monologue, I don't just stand there or sit at a desk and do it. I do it with another comedian that we just play off of what the topics I bring to the forefront that day. And it's a little different. We get to do it that way. So I love that organic feel of comedy. I like stuff off the cuff, and it becomes all fresh and new, and I think audiences will like it. I'm also doing radio right now, so I'd love to have a national syndicated radio show. I like to make The Lowdown a bigger show and bring it to a network one day. You can find me on jamesyon.com. That is my website. That's Y-O-N, Yon, jamesyon.com. I'm on Instagram, James Yon Comedian. Of course, on Facebook, because I'm over 40. I'm still on that. So you can find me under James Yon Comedian under that as well. I don't have a Snapchat. I don't know how to do that. Can't find me there. And I'm also on Twitter. So people look me up, man. And please support my show, The Lowdown, on Sling TV. Escaping all the troubles of their normal life, all the worry, the bills, politics, religion, and just having a good time, because we forget sometimes just to laugh. We got to do that. Hey guys, my name is James Yon. I'm a comedian. You guys need to check me out at acutiepie.com.